Welcome back to another episode of Dynasty Theory. I'm John Bauer. Find me on X at the Bauer Club. We have Dan Lamagna, Coach Dan Dynasty on X, and then Mitch Sorensen at Dino MC. Guys, we got to get right into it. We have a lot we want to talk about tonight. The New York Giants, the New York Football Giants, they have named Jackson Dart as their new starting quarterback. Dan, does it surprise you at all that it happened after just 3 weeks?
No, ironically, I was driving, I've got my son and my teenage son into fantasy football a lot this year. And he must have been like watching oldest episodes of Dynasty Theory where John Bauer had a lot of Russ Wilson shares. So he was kind of like rooting for Russ. And I go, buddy, I'm going to make a bet with you how many weeks before he gets benched. And I was on the short side and he didn't want to believe me. So I won a bragging dollar with my teenage son. Yes, he owes me money. But no, I don't, man. I just think there's expectations in New York. You start 0-3. A game versus the Dallas Cowboys defense at this time of year does not count for a good performance. There's pressure to get Jackson Dart in there. The Giants fans want him. I'm sure ownership wants to see this guy. It's painful watching Russ. So to Mitch's great joy, it is Jackson Dart time.
Mitch, you were in the Discord earlier today just raving and going off about your rostership of Jackson Dart. And bear with Mitch. He has some little strep throat coming at us tonight. He said coming in, I'm going to be a little quiet. You two are going to have to carry the load. And then Jackson Dart was named starting quarterback of the Giants, and he's sharing his rostership. And he's like, well, now I'm not going to shut up. So
the strep went away, John. It went away. It was magically cured.
So, Mitch, we know that you have the high rostership, but what are your expectations from the jump for Jackson Dart?
Not very high, to be honest, just because Dan went through the schedule, I think, a couple weeks ago. I mean, they have the Chargers, the Saints, whatever, but then they have the Eagles, Broncos, back at Eagles, then 49ers. I mean, they play a pretty tough slate moving forward, but he doesn't have to be very good because everyone kind of knows that we've talked about this schedule for a long time now. So then it just really goes to me, well, who does he have to be better than to improve his draft stock? Like right now, do I think he could play better? It sounds weird to say better than CJ Stroud. I think he can. I think fantasy
is that weird to say? No, I don't think it is at this point.
I think when you bring up the name, people still have that. Then it's like, well, what about Tua? Tua's averaging a few more points a game than Stroud. And I think he can with his rushing upside. So then you're kind of looking, are you okay with the JJ McCarthy, Bryce Young sort of thing? If he could be there after 5 games, because the schedule does lighten up a little bit at the end. And if that happens, then it's wheels up for Jackson Dart. I mean, his skill position players that he have around him, they're fine. They're not bad. The offensive line isn't great, but he has really good skill position players around him. So in my view, it's a crappy time for him to start for someone who really likes Jackson Dart going through the schedule. But if he could last and if he could stay healthy and he improves, everyone says preseason doesn't matter, right? He played extremely good in the preseason. I think if he didn't play that good, they wouldn't have made the switch already. I think he showed enough to where they were like, you know what? This isn't about Russ. Let's get Jackson Dart in to hopefully save our jobs.
I have a lot I want to say about Russell Wilson. I have a lot I want to say about Jackson Dart. But guys, you couldn't even guess what I'm about to say. You couldn't even guess. I've worn this shirt how many shows? In the if the microphone covers the wrong part of the word, it's
I think
not
you do it
great.
on purpose.
It's not great. Anyway, I had to literally get that off of my chest. So let's look at Jackson Dart. 1,500 rushing yards in 3 years at Ole Miss. Mm-hmm. He is mobile. He is able to move around the pocket, extend plays, and really what Russell Wilson was able to do earlier in his career. Obviously, you look at Russ at this point, he occasionally still has those out of this world jaw-dropping moments, but right now at this point, it is very few and far between. Russ was dead last of all quarterbacks with at least 50 dropbacks this year. in terms of catchable target rate, 68%. So when we're looking at how does Jackson Dart impact these other weapons, you think, well, the rookie quarterback coming in this situation behind the offensive line, maybe it isn't going to be that great for the passing, for the pass catching weapons, but Russell Wilson wasn't exactly supporting them either. So if you have Malik Neighbors, Wan'Dale Robinson, we'll get to the running backs in a minute. You're excited about that. You're happy for this change. He was last in Russ being last in first read percentage at 59.1%. And that's another thing you look at these young quarterbacks. Jackson Dart's going to come in. We talked about it with Jake Browning last week. He's going to be looking for that easy outlet. He's going to be looking for that first read. And hopefully, if it's there, he's going to look that way. And that's Malik Neighbors, who was at 42% last year for first read percentage. And it is high again this year. But week 3 against the Chiefs, this team was exposed. You know, Dan, you said it. Russ looked really good against Dallas. It seems like everybody is going to look really good against Dallas. We knew the short leash was going to be there for Russell Wilson. Dable and this coaching staff, they are fighting for their lives to keep coaching this team. And the only way that was going to happen was with a change. So from a timing perspective, for me, it makes perfect sense. What do we think in terms of the way it's going to impact the running backs? I see the comment from CC, Scatman is going to eat. I have some things I want to get to there in a minute, but Dan, back to you. How do you view this?
I think the underlying concern for the running backs is this is still a weak O-line. Like this O-line isn't really good. I think Cam, like one of the things I'm seeing in Cam, and I've been a little skeptical, and I'll probably continue to be. I think it depends on how good the Giants are. I think he's a good football player. You know, he doesn't have that blazing speed.
He's a real lunch pail kind of guy.
That's what I'm saying, Mitch. He is that kind of guy, and I think coaches like that. I think you can't be misled a little bit. Like you mentioned, hey, week 2, Russ, you got to be mindful it was the Dallas defense. This last game, we got to be mindful of Tyron Tracy got hurt. Like he was starting and getting a good amount of reps. He gets injured. Now it's kind of all Cam. We got to look at their depth chart. I don't think there's anybody else that's going to really chase them. I'm sure they're not going to put it all on Cam.
Involved.
Who's that? Devin
Singletary.
You got Motor. So I think there's still a little bit of a rotation there. But I think for fantasy, where you are encouraged, because it is, stick a fork in your eye when you watch Russ play and you have fantasy football players. And I think the Giants coaches feel this as well. This should be a little boost for Neighbors. This should be a little boost for Theo Johnson, for hopefully more consistency out of Wan'Dale, because he tanked this last week.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you do get a little bit of a spike, but to Mitch's point with the schedule, you got to expect some growing pains there too. With a weak O-line, like, is this Giants team really good? There's going to be some bumps. But hey, if he could at least give us some flashes, get a little spike of those fantasy weapons, move the ball downfield on occasion, hey, then Cam does get a couple of touchdowns here and there and get some running back production. So I think as long as we're patient, but I think the long-term projection is, hey, could he continue to grow? Okay, hey, we're going to get the bumps in this tough schedule, but when we get out of this tough schedule, will Jackson Dart evolve enough to at least hold on to his job, and for the Giants at some point this season to say, we're committed to him, versus do they keep losing and Jameis Winston's like creeping, behind his back there. So you never know in New York.
Behind that offensive line, Russ had 2.38 seconds until he was pressured on average. That was tied 3rd worst in the NFL. And again, I know it's only 3 weeks in, but you still look at that situation, and that's not necessarily a recipe for success for an incoming rookie. But again, we talked about the mobility. Here's the thing, though. Russ was at 12% for a check down rate. Okay. 3 weeks in, they're averaging 9 running back targets per game. So I do expect that to change a little bit. I don't think they're going to be able to keep that up. We'll see if Jackson Dart, how things play. But we talked about it from the first read percentage last week with Jake Browning and working through their progressions. Is Jackson Dart going to be able to do that behind that offensive line? I think we're going to get a lot of scrambles. I think we're going to get, junk rushing yards, which is great for fantasy, but how does that work for the weapons around them? So it is going to be interesting to see how that, the check down rates, how that kind of translates to Cam Scadaboo's success. But we know Tyron Tracy is going to be out, it sounds like 2 to 4 weeks here with the injury. Mitch, we always talk about this too, and it came up with Michael Penix last year, came up with Daniel Jones several years ago, Josh Allen. We know these guys are going to get the opportunity to start. And it always seems like a surprise to some people whenever they do get the chance. Oh, now their value jumps up because they're starting. I don't know if we're really going to see that across the community, but there's a few things I was thinking about. The Joe Burrow injury, so many quarterbacks underproducing. You mentioned CJ Stroud, Tua, Cam Ward, JJ McCarthy banged up. You could go down the list, and there's so many players. Do you think that could impact the way people are looking at and valuing Jackson Dart from a pick or cross-positional perspective?
Definitely. People, they need to fill their spots. They just do. And there's a lot of injuries right now, and the players backing them up aren't any better. So right now, I mean, John and I, you kind of sang the praises of Browning last week. You and I were both like, we think he's going to do pretty good. Well, last week kind of sucked, and it kind of sucked for Penix too. Another guy that we talked about last week.
That's who I was leaving out of my mind right there, Penix.
Yeah. And it's, it's tough because I think with how the preseason goes now and teams don't really play their starters for that long, I think it takes a little bit longer for these younger quarterbacks to kind of take off and do well the further you go into the season. But, I'm just happy that the three of us didn't come out here and be like, hey, Jackson Dart, we said he needs more time. He needs a lot, he's not ready. The guy had 39 starts in the SEC. He had another 6 starts at USC as a freshman. The guy's about as ready as you could get, I think, in my opinion, as far as a prospect goes. And so while you're pulling up those trades, John, I don't think the Giants are any worse having Jackson Dart start. And so we were trading for Wan'Dale not too long ago. Malik Neighbors was talked about as the overall wide receiver 1 after week 1. And so I think all these things are still options. It's what happens if he goes out. Let's just say, for instance, he goes out and he has 250 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Chargers. All of a sudden his value goes up a lot. And if he ends up going out there, gets 175 yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions, I don't really think it hurts him. So I think he's just a very good guy to go out and buy right now, especially at these prices that you're showing.
Now, I know I have the trades pulled up here from dynastydaddy.com. Dan, is there any concern in your mind that, you look ahead at the 2026 quarterback class, you look at the way historically these things play out? Jackson Dart was a late first-round pick in the NFL draft. If there are changes within the New York Giants organization after 2025, that's going to always be in the back of people's minds when they're looking at Jackson Dart from a value perspective, especially if the Giants are losing.
Yeah, if their record's bad enough and they're in position going into a draft that's got a strong quarterback class, there's risk there. There's no guarantees with it with the new coaching staff. Now, if Jackson Dart can muster up some wins and take them a little bit out of the top of the quarterback echelon race, maybe they invest in this kid and give him a chance. I think we saw in the Discord in our chat with you and Mitch, where I think Mitch has like 11 shares of Dart. When I look at the quarterback landscape now, I can imagine some of Mitch's rosters, it's probably a split, right, Mitch? If I'm just guessing, you probably have some really strong quarterback rosters, but then you probably have some that when I look at my rankings, there's a lot of quarterbacks that have had bad play this season. There's a lot of quarterbacks that are very old. There are a lot of quarterbacks that are really we're up in the air about, right? The Trevor Lawrences, the Bryce Youngs, the Justin Fields, the Tuas. So there's a chance here, man. If Jackson could just show that he can manage a football team and not suck, he could pass a lot of quarterbacks and have some value. So, yeah, it doesn't come without risk that you're mentioning, JB, but there is some reward here also.
All right, let's work through some of these trades that, again, I'm just going from the top down. First trade, 12 teams, start 11, full PPR, super flex, Jordan Addison and Jackson Dart, or JJ McCarthy, Kareem Hunt, Khalil Shakir, and a 26 fourth. Mitch, what are your thoughts?
I'm going Addison and Dart. I think Addison's probably not the best player in this deal because you have the quarterbacks, but I think he definitely has the highest ceiling of these guys. So I'm going with Addison.
Agree. He has the player upside non-quarterback that tilts the scale of this trade. And man, Carson Wentz, I know he's not the answer, but it doesn't make me feeling warm and fuzzy about JJ McCarthy right now.
This next trade, there are so many trades still creeping around within the Discord. And again, we always talk about the Discord. Check out the DD Fantasy Football Patreon, patreon.com/allgas. The Discord community, extra content. We got my cross positional tiers, a lot of good things there. So, but Joe Burrow is heavily discussed just constantly. Trades if you're contending, if you're not contending. How do you look at this one? 12 teams, start 10, full PPR. PPR is not really that relevant here. But Jackson Dart, a 27 first and second, or Joe Burrow?
I need more for Burrow. So I'm going to take Joey B. I know there's some risk there too these days with his injuries, but
yeah,
I'm not getting stuck without a quarterback next year.
Right. Yeah. This is one to where like I'm really looking at 27 first. That could be extremely early. I could see pulling that. But if you're telling me that's the 106, there's no way I'm making that deal.
Another one, Joe Burrow for Jackson Dart and Rashee Rice.
Joe Burrow.
It's Burrow for me still.
That one's closer for me because I love Rashee. I think he's going to go crazy when he gets back.
Another Joe Burrow. So there are clearly people, this has opened up an opportunity across people's leagues where Jackson Dart is now a starting quarterback and people have Joe Burrow and they found a new trade partner. Let's see. Wade says, I'm reading this comment here, and I think it's a great point, and you can really mix and match and flip these guys around within this range. But Wade says the quarterback range from low end quarterback 2 to low end quarterback 1 is very fluid. Dart can easily go to quarterback 11, but I don't know what that means in terms of profit.
He could jump up well. Like QB 11's a little rich for a projection, but he could take a good jump to near that range. So I know what he's saying.
And then what about these two trades, Mitch? Jackson Dart for 26 first. I'm not even going to mention the 5th.
Jackson Dart currently.
Dan?
Yeah, I mean, you need a quarterback. I would take Dart.
I was going to play one of the new sounds here that they make available on StreamYard if you weren't going to answer that question. And then Mitch, Jackson Dart or AJ Brown? 12 teams, start 11, full PPR.
Jackson Dart at this point.
I'm still going AJ Brown.
Okay. All right. So whether you're watching live, whether you're watching back, let us know in the comments. Have you made any trades involving Jackson Dart, whether it's acquiring, whether moving him off of your roster, maybe him being named the starting quarterback has presented that opportunity for you? And let us know. Give us a 1 year outlook. Where do you see Jackson Dart 1 year from today in terms of a value perspective? And so much of that obviously is dependent on production and the way things look here over the course of the season.
Wait, I have one for you real quick that doesn't involve quarterbacks, but it's Jackson Dart. It's a 14-team league, but you have to start 3 running backs. So I've been going back and forth. This is with a Discord member. I've been going back and forth on this trade on. I have Jackson Dart. He originally sent an offer last week with Marks, Scattaboo, and Tootin for Jackson Dart, Trey Harris, and Sanders. And I'm like, I can't do it. What would you guys say today if it was just Jackson Dart for Tootin, Scattaboo, and Marks in a start 3 running back league?
I understand the start 3 aspect, but the 14-team aspect is going to swing it still to Jackson Dart.
Yeah, that's what
I agree. Unless you have 2 other quarterbacks, Mitch.
I do.
Maybe.
Of course I do. I always have.
So, but how thin are you at running back?
I have 2 starting running backs.
So,
That's
but
fair, yeah.
as a
Dart.
I couldn't do it.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
And then we got a question here before we
See?
move on from Tim. Cam Ward or Jackson Dart? Don't all answer
Long-term
one.
Cam Ward. Short-term, I'm still concerned about Cam Ward's weapons around him, but I'm going to go Cam Ward. That'll be my pick.
See, the reason why I didn't say anything is because I was like, I don't have a lot of Cam Ward just because in that spot of the draft I wasn't taking him there. I actually like him as a prospect, but I was like, how many points has he scored? Because believe it, I don't watch a whole bunch of Titans games right now. In 4.4 passing touchdown scoring, he's averaging 8.4 points, which is just below Joe Flacco, but sadly also below Marcus Mariota. So it's like, if Jackson Dart's better than that, this is like a realistic topic that we will be discussing next week and in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I just want to add, like, when I hear Jackson Dart, I think of Malik Neighbors. So that kind of attracts me to that side. I'm just not confident in his long-term future yet. Again, I can see how people are if if you have conviction in Dart, no objections, no challenge flags. But like Cam Ward right now, I mean, Calvin Ridley's he's good, but I mean, Ayo Manor, Christian DK is scoring touchdowns. I mean, there's a really weak cast around him, and he's holding his own. It's just there's just not enough talent there for fantasy production. Bad team. I see him getting one of the top receivers in the draft next year for this kid, and building around him, and I could see him being better next year.
Well, and we're already seeing issues at the top, and this is kind of, going off on a tangent, but Callahan giving up play calling responsibilities 3 weeks into the season.
So
that isn't a great start to the year, especially with your rookie quarterback. I don't want to sit here and say, write off Cam Ward 3 weeks into his career, because we see how quickly things can change. You had CJ Stroud that was being hyped up and at times touted as the Dynasty quarterback one, and how quickly things can change. But when it comes to Cam Ward or Jackson Dart, I have them tiered together. You see the comments in the chat, upside versus probably a little bit more stability and value insulation. But if I'm going to choose, I'm going to take the upside in Jackson Dart, because I don't see a situation like what roster, unless it's a blow it up type roster, a blow it up situation where you're rebuilding from the ground up, that you look at your roster and you see Cam Ward and think, wow, I'm really happy to have Cam Ward on this roster.
I mean, you're right.
That's true.
There's really no argument against that one, to be honest.
But again, things can change. I'm not saying his book is written. Certainly
the problem,
not.
like if you just compare, like I know that the Titans line is a little bit better, but if you just compare the skill position players, like I think both coaching staffs are awful. Like I don't think either of them's even worth writing home about. But like the best player on the Titans is maybe Io Manor at this point. I mean, what do you do with that? So it's just one of those to where like I would rather buy into the guy with the better skill position, which honestly usually works out pretty well in the NFL.
Yep. And I think it's almost unfair for fantasy managers because both of these organizations are crap. I mean, just honestly, like historical context, these are not good organizations. I see both of these coaching staffs getting fired some point soon. General managers, we watched the Hard Knocks with the Giants, and this kind of goes to where I was before the Dynasty season started, and we were having episodes where we were talking about how we're building our rosters. And I says, guys, I don't want any quarterbacks outside of I think it was top 22 at the time. I think I'm like top 20 now. I think it's dwindled down even a little bit. Like this conversation to me is for those couple rosters I have where somehow I hosed myself and like I have Bryce Young or Trevor Lawrence, and maybe I need to get another option because, hey, we're going to have we have our pause or panic segments. There's a couple quarterbacks you're panicking over where you might need to get options. And hey, maybe the upside of one of these quarterbacks is the answer in the future.
Man, you guys talk about me. You were the two holding on to that segment there.
It's true.
But we do have a little rapid fire coming at you. Buy or buy. So as we did last week, we are going to be saying if we're buying the player or saying goodbye to the player. I will go through the names here. We're going to go Mitch, Dan, all the way through. And then I'm just going to, a few of them, they have either seen this list or the pause or panic list already. So I said it's going to be interesting to keep track as the season progresses and see if there's any movement. Wade says, Dan, Wade, it's in the show notes. I said no fence sitting.
Wade, I'm coming with conviction tonight, man. I'm bringing it tonight. I'm ready.
All right. So are we saying bye or goodbye? All right. Mitch, you're first. Again, Cam Scattaboo.
Huge buy.
Goodbye. I'm trading to Mitch.
I would say goodbye. Jordan Mason, again.
Buy.
I'm buying.
I would buy, but I'm more neutral on him. It's not like a buy, but it's a buy. Trey Benson.
Buy.
I've always been a Benson guy. I'm going to keep buying.
I would sell it at inflated value. Goodbye. J.K. Dobbins.
Goodbye.
I love how JB has all these little contingencies tonight, Mitch, after that early speech. But where you at, Dobbins, Mitch?
Goodbye.
I'm going to still buy because I think there's a place on your roster for this season.
Finally, after a few years, Dan, you and I, we've talked about Dobbins. I know in the past we had some heated discussions. I'll buy him this time. Trey Tucker.
Buy. Yeah.
I'm going to buy him. I'm going to buy him. I'm not overpaying, but I'm going to buy him.
I'll buy. Mitch. Garrett Wilson.
Goodbye.
I'm buying Garrett. Give me that volume.
Buy. Last week, as part of the pause or panic segment, AJ Brown.
Goodbye.
I'm also goodbye. More because he's 28 years old than anything he's done in the last 3 weeks.
I would look to sell. I would say goodbye. Nico Collins.
Bye.
I'm going to still buy.
Bye. Luther Burden.
Bye.
Goodbye. The Dallas defense don't count yet. To take that inflation of the game against Dallas.
It's very fair.
If his current value as we see in Fantasy Coke holds, I would buy. Check back in 3 days because I don't think
there's still no volume there. And the games are going to get a little tighter. But I'd rather buy a week from now when he's back to like 1 or 2 targets and then take the talent.
Remember that Dallas matchup for any team that plays against them, that is going to be a get-right situation. Torrey Horton.
Buy.
I'm buying.
Mm-hmm. That's fine. Tyquan Thornton.
Goodbye.
I'm buying. Guys, I've been watching him every week. And I know eventually Rishi Rice will come back. But now when I say buy, like,
and Xavier
what
Worthy.
is someone really going to want for Tyquan Thornton, all right? But I might give you a 3rd-round pick if I need receiver help. I might do it. He is a deep threat, and Mahomes is looking for him.
Give me that third. Give me that third.
That ain't going to happen.
All right.
Give me that third. Jake Ferguson.
Huge buy.
Bye.
That mother trucker's been in green on my sheets for quite some time.
It's that Dallas offense, man. They love the tight end. It's there.
Well, especially with Lamb missing time. And IR still is not off the table. Sorry, Dan.
Easy,
Hunter
JB.
Henry.
Too soon.
It's hard to buy more. I already have so much, but I'll buy.
I'd buy May's security blanket.
You got to live with those games where he gets like 1 target, but then you get those blow-up games too. Dalton Kincaid.
Goodbye. He gone.
I'm buying. I'm still a Kincaid guy.
Caleb Williams, he was on the pause or panic segment last week.
He gone. Goodbye.
Bye. I told you, Mitchell, he's for real. I don't even care if it was
It doesn't count against the Cowboys, Dan. We know this.
But he has shown flashes. He has got Ben Johnson, man. You remember
count.
Ben Johnson.
Russ
He's a
Wilson
good friend of
threw
yours.
for 450 yards against that team. Okay, sorry.
But
Go ahead.
How quick do you forget Ben Johnson, Mitch? Come on. That's your boy.
Ben who?
Geno Smith.
Bye.
Goodbye. 34 and a suspect O-line.
Sam Darnold.
Goodbye.
I'm going to buy him. He's 28, and I think Seattle's for real.
All right. That takes us over to the Los Angeles Chargers, who all of a sudden are a passing team. If you remember conversations over the course of the offseason, nobody wanted Justin Herbert.
Mhm.
Not a lot of folks were keen on investing in this passing game. But not only was he able to support a Quentin Johnston, 58-year-old Keenan Allen, Lad McConkey, we'll get to him, but my man, Dan, Aronde Gadsden. If you remember our offseason rookie tight end conversations, you wanted nothing to do with him because he was a little light in the behind. Well, that little behind got a lot of targets this week.
He did. There's some lack of competition there in that tight end room in Los Angeles, and elite quarterback playing at the top of his game right now. But I ain't knocking it, JB. Where you took him in drafts and the shares you got, that is a low risk, high reward pick. So I give you kudos.
Mitch, we talk about the Trinity tool over at ddfantasyfootball.com, and you look at it over the course of this young season. You have Quentin Johnston and you have Keenan Allen right there, 7.5, 7.95. That's near elite usage.
Yes.
You have Lad McConkey down there, low sixes, but that number is dropped every single week. Do we think we see a shift in the way this passing game is focusing on those three, or is it until Keenan Allen is out of the picture, Lad McConkey is going to be the one to suffer?
It's hard to have an argument otherwise now. You know, Keenan Allen's coming in and he gets a 27% target share right now. I love Lad McConkey. I have a lot of Lad McConkey, but he's not getting the targets compared to the other guys. And until he does, this 27% target share was supposed to be his. That's the thing. Keenan is earning it over him at the moment. So until Keenan gets injured or something happens, I don't think we see a big switch unless Keenan's older. He starts to wear down later in the season. Lad McConkey starts to separate a little bit more, then maybe he gets more. But a 20% target share for a guy that people were locking in as wide receiver 8, wide receiver 9 in Dynasty, it's not enough. It's flat out just not enough. Quentin Johnston's getting more than him right now. Quentin Johnston deserves to get more than him right now because he's flat out playing better.
And now we're seeing Aronde Gadsden. Oh, not the red flag. We got the yellow flag over there, but hold it for a second, Dan. And now Aronde Gadsden comes in, gives you, more at the tight end position. I thought Tyler Conklin was going to be not a pivotal piece in this offense, but a usable tight end. And obviously that has not been the case. And then Gadsden, finally, he's active. He comes in. If this continues, you now have Lad McConkey at number 4 out of the wide receivers and tight ends in terms of pecking order. But the Amari Hampton usage in the receiving game, that was kind of unexpected there as well.
You got a ton. What, 6? Did he get 6 catches last game?
Something like that. But now, obviously, you look at his efficiency up to this point, hasn't been great. But now Najee Harris, he's done. It's going to be the Hampton and Vidal show. But when you start to look at these receiving weapons, like I think Lad McConkey is a hell of a wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is not the conversation here. But when you look at it from a fantasy football perspective, I do think usage, production, and value, all three of those are going to tie together as this season progresses. And until something happens to Keenan Allen or Quentin Johnston, I do think the rapport that those two have developed more so than what Lad is doing right now, that's going to play a role here. And the big question, would we be looking to buy Lad at a discount with the expectation that the uptick's going to be there? And Dan, I don't want to forget about your yellow flag.
Throwing the penalty flag, Dan. Throwing the penalty flag on both ears, I think, here. So I didn't throw the challenge flag because you guys are coming from, as John's shirt says, some good analytics, some good usage stats there. But this is a 3-game sample size versus some veteran coaching staffs in the Chiefs, the Raiders, and the Broncos, right? You got 3 veteran coaches that have been around this league for a minute. They look at last year's film, preparing for these games. man, they say, hey, we've got to stop Lad McConkey. We're going to make Quentin Johnson beat us. He hasn't proven anything that he could catch the ball. Keenan signed a little bit late. He's 33 years old. We got to see. And he is 33. Let's not forget that. He's gotten hurt, I think, every season for the last so many seasons, or wears down or different situations. Up next, guys, is the Giants, the Commanders, the Dolphins, Colts maybe. I'm predicting Lad breakout game. I just wrote him on my DFS notes for this week here. I did trade a first in a league for Lad a couple weeks ago. I was like, hey, great addition. I'll take Lad McConkey on my team there. I just think it's going to change depending on matchups and game plans. I think Gadsden, Disley was out. They normally kind of ignore the tight ends, the Chargers, it seems. They've been really receiver heavy. But I think we're going to see it vary a little bit from week for week. And if I was going to put money on this, I'm going to go Lad end of the year. That cream's going to rise to the top. QJ, man, I love that speed, and he's evolved. We heard his receivers coach say, hey, you are a starting receiver in this league. He gave that conviction before these 3 games started. And then Keenan, man, I think he's just going to be Mr. Reliable, consistent. But I just don't want to tilt it too far there because of that early 27% or however many usage share, Mitch, over a 3-game sample. I think now is the time to buy Lad McConkey. He's got to find the end zone, though. That's my maybe biggest concern. He's got to find pay dirt once in a while.
So
excuse Mitch while he hacks up a lung.
Yeah, I'm dying over here. I agree. And the one thing I was going to say is, well, has his price really dropped? So I pulled up some things real quick on Dynasty Daddy, and yeah, it's dropped. So while John's pulling, I'm just going to tell you a couple trades real quick. 12-team Lad McConkey or Tyrone Tracy and Zay Flowers. Take McConkey every day. Lad McConkey or Harold Fannin and DK Metcalf.
Really love Lad there.
Hey, you're going to upset some Fannin people there.
I know. But there's maybe his price has dropped enough to where you can go out and get him. I didn't think it dropped already, but maybe it did.
So we're looking right now on Fantasy Calc. And I like Fantasy Calc because I always say this, it's based off of actual trades that have taken place. And then you link that with the Dynasty Daddy. Like Dynasty Daddy has all the incredible, the trade database in there constantly. But you look at this, and there's a little tier break between Rome and Lad from their points, their scoring. And then it's Lad, Garrett Wilson, Marv, down to A.J. Brown, kind of. And then there's another tier break, then another tier break. So from a value perspective, could we see Lad dip to that wide receiver 18 range?
Yeah.
Wide receiver 19?
I think so.
And you already see him as a buy, but I think those price points that you just mentioned, I think that kind of puts him there already.
Just to be in the conversation with those guys, to the conversation of the receivers he was with going into this season, JB definitely shifted the conversation to make him a buy right now.
Yeah, I have him paired with London and A.J. Brown right now, admittedly. I have, let me see here.
Drake London needs to drop a little bit too.
Well, I'm below market on him as well.
Yeah.
Like right now, he's wide receiver 10 on Fantasy Calc. And then if we want to pull up, just keep trade cut for another quick reference. Let's see. I don't know all these players.
Don't know any of them.
Do you guys ever actually do the inputs?
Nope. I don't know any player that they asked me about.
No, I always just say, and then I know there's some people that troll, and I might say some, probably a lot. But looking at Lad McConkey, wide receiver 14 here.
Yeah.
And then there's that tier break 15 to 16. But Drake London, wide receiver 10. So pretty consistent with what we just saw from Fantasy Calc. I think we're going to see more of a shift in that Lad McConkey value. And apparently my algorithm, it's really worried about dry eyes right now. I don't know if you see that ad over there, but gotta look out for those dry eyes.
It could be worse. I mean, it could have been worse. So that's good.
You're a little tired
could have
before
been
the
a lot
show, JB.
Oh, how did that get there? Oh my goodness. So Quentin Johnston then. I still think he's undervalued.
I think he is too.
People, there was that baseline. There was that expectation of when he came in as a rookie and he fell flat. He didn't improve in year 2. Well, he improved as the year progressed, but people, again, still were writing him off. And now here we are, and not quite like an elite breakout, but the usage is it's damn near elite. Okay. So we're looking at Quentin Johnston. Should he be behind? I mean, should he be behind Keon Coleman, for Christ's sake?
Honestly, should he be that much worse than Jameson Williams?
No. And at this point, I have them in the same tier.
Yeah.
The stats, the play, the situation, they're all in his favor. And I give you a credit, JB, a couple of weeks ago. Again, I just getting those email alerts in my email. Oh, who made a trade? Oh, it was John for Quentin Johnston, for seconds, thirds, reasonable offers. But this offense, didn't we see this story coming a little bit? Like we were hoping Herbert was ascending and Coach Harbaugh wins wherever he goes. And all of a sudden it's all clicking. They're doing that even without their best O-lineman that got hurt in the offseason there, and that O-line's playing really well. So having these guys attached to Herbert for a while with McConkey and Quentin Johnston's excellent. And hey, if you got Keenan at a value this offseason, he's definitely going to help you for this year.
So here's the question from Wade, and this is kind of the $1 million question. Is a first for Quentin Johnston too much? What price are you buying at? I don't think that is too much, because if you look at the other pieces, the other wide receivers in that range, you mentioned a Jameson Williams, a Chris Olave, Xavier Worthy, Devontae Smith, Ricky Pearsall, George Pickens, T. Higgins, Jordan Addison. Are any of them truly giving you anything over Quentin Johnston, who, as I mentioned, is still for the most part being valued much lower than those players? I don't know. Now, if you're in one league and you're like, I want to get Quentin Johnston, it's not, you don't have the luxury of saying, well, I'll go try another league. Maybe I can do 2 seconds there. If you're in 1 or 2 leagues, this is the price. Do you want to pay to acquire or not? League dynamic would come into play. Starting requirements, half PPR, full PPR, is it truly replaceable production? Can you use that asset and liquidity somewhere else? A lot of things come into play, but I don't think it's too much. I wouldn't move him for less.
The problem is, let's say you don't have extra first and you have the one. You have 1 first. Is this the guy you're going to go trade your first for?
That's a valid point.
That's the problem, to where, is it too much? Probably not. Do I see really any league that I'm realistically going to trade my first for Quentin Johnston thinking it's going to make me make that push to win a championship? No. So while I think the value's fair, I don't think I can make that deal in almost any league that I'm in, unless I have one that I have like 5 firsts and I'm somehow contending at the same time.
And this is the thing, and this is from Mark. Won't pay a first for Quentin Johnston, Pickens, Addison, etc. Yeah. And absolutely, I get that. And that's kind of the more overarching strategy in the way a lot of people, especially within the DD fantasy football community, they don't want to spend that first on wide receivers in that range. So what do I say? Can we get to that first value with other assets? Can I pair a second or even 2 seconds with another piece to get us there, or even surpass that value while not giving up the first? But it all comes down to knowing your league best. Maybe there's no trades in the league, so you have to be a little bit more aggressive. Dan from Eskimo, would you rather pay a first for Quentin Johnston, Benson, or Scat? And let's just assume, because there's no context given, 12-team super flex, start 10, and you're looking for a flex option, I guess.
I'm with Mitch with that. That first is too rich for me. And then I'm with you, JB, where how could we get there? So if you want my first, hey, and I could use QJ, who is, again, too rich for me to give up my first, but you're going to give me a Benson or a Scattaboo or a Tootin, maybe to bolster my running backs too. And now I got some future upside, which alleviates a little of my guilt or risk for giving up that first. I think we could come to a deal. but not straight up, not a first for just one of those
You got to
guys.
pick one.
Yeah. So you wouldn't pay a first for any of them.
It would be QJ out of those three. It would definitely
Okay.
be QJ out of those three. I think he has the most talent upside, best situation. That's going to stick too. It's going to stick.
Yeah. I'll go Scatabo. I like him. It's hard for me to quit him, man.
He's fun to like.
The market is there with you right now. The market agrees with you.
Yeah.
It's going to go Scat, Benson, and then Quentin Johnston. And again, how do you approach it? Do you prefer to send those picks for running backs, wide receivers? Like I have a lot of teams where they are built with veteran running backs. Not really a reason to go out right now and look at that Benson or Scatteroo at that price point. Now, if those veteran running backs, and I do have some, I looked at one earlier, consists of Aaron Jones, Joe Mixon, and James Conner, we got to look to remedy that situation. Oh, let's see here.
I think you want to temper expectations a little bit with Benson and Scat too. Like you're still going to see DeMarcado get in that game for Arizona and be cursing at the television. You're going to see Motor going in there for the Giants in certain situations. So I don't think it's automatic bell cow role that we would hope.
Agreed.
And then you look to next year, do they get someone else? And then you gave away that first.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of situations to look at there. So we talked about Quentin Johnston. We talked about Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen. Let's say it's a 12-team start 12. All right. So a little bit deeper starting requirement. Your roster looks good, but you need that last flex spot. You're 3-0 right now. You just lost James Conner, who you had in that last flex spot. Any situation you give up your 26 second for Keenan Allen?
Oh, yeah. I would do a second. No hesitation. On a competing team? Hell yeah.
I was nervous you were going to say something higher, and that's why I was shaking my head. But second, JB, there's a scenario I would do that.
Yeah, no issue there.
Okay.
And I always try to get someone younger with that second. Then when 5 teams say no, then it's like, all right, I'm going to take this Keenan Allen deal.
Yep.
Same situation. Would you move Caleb Johnson for Keenan Allen?
Oh, God.
It's painful.
Well, how about you, Steeler fan? How do you feel about that?
I am looking to put a bow on any Caleb Johnson share I have. If I can move him at that running back 35 price tag, which he magically still has, and some people still want to invest. Talked about him last week, and we're going to talk about him here in a second on Pause or Panic. Take him.
I DM'd you guys. Somehow I was getting Caleb Johnson trades done last week. It was glorious. I got like Jordan Addison for him. It was Matthew Golden is who I got. Yeah, no, it was great.
Didn't you get a Javonte Williams too?
I did. Yeah, I sure did.
You guys have been on fire.
From Monkey, what's going on, man? Got one, or ma'am. I assume man, but got one scat trying to add a 27 first for Brian Thomas Jr.
I wish you luck.
I think it could get done.
Okay.
Roy shared one in the Discord earlier that was kind of almost like a preseason Brian Thomas value, but then we've seen very not preseason Brian Thomas value trades.
Yep.
Jonah, can we blame this on Arthur, or is Caleb just hopeless? This goes over Arthur Smith. It's not like it's a situation where it was Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier. Caleb Johnson wasn't even active.
He's not even involved.
Now, I know. Well, Devon Achane wasn't active a couple games. He was also a little dinged up. Yeah. Caleb Johnson, he in 2 plays through his first 2 games, he fumbled the ball, lost yardage, and the kicking gaff where he let the ball just sit there in the end zone.
And there's no signs Arthur Smith's going anywhere either. So
exactly. And Rodgers wants backs that are very good at pass protection at his age. He just does. And right now, Caleb Johnson isn't going to be great at pass protection. Just like it's time to move on.
Man, Nick is bringing the positivity here. Remember when it was glorious to trade QJ? Caleb can overcome.
Have faith.
Caleb can overcome. I really like the way Jalen Warren has been utilized, though.
Yep.
I think he's one of those running backs at his price that people, should potentially be looking to buy. All right, pause or panic. This doesn't necessarily have to be a rapid fire. All right. So give up to a 30-second blurb if you want.
Probably should, though.
Okay, I thought you were on. So we're going to go Dan, Mitch. And as always, if you're watching live, if you're listening back, drop in the comments any that really stand out to you. Let these two guys know where they're wrong, because we always love to do that. For time purposes, guys, I'm not going to answer, even though it would take 2 seconds. I also don't want to take any blame here. While you're watching, hit the like button below. And I know you're subscribed to the channel, but just in case, check that out too. All right, Dan. He's on here again. We just talked about him. Caleb Johnson. Pause or panic?
I'm panicking with 2 carries for -1 yards on this 1 yard on the season. I don't have the patience to go down this journey.
Panic.
Chase Brown.
I'm panicking right now with the O-line, especially the quarterback situation, the team schedule concerns. It's a panic.
It's a panic, but he's getting so much of the work right now. It's really hard for me to sell at a panic price.
Now, just to reiterate, and I did this last week too, when we say panic, we're not saying, hell, I got to get rid of this guy. I'm just going to give me a third. Chase Brown, you're off my roster. We're looking to sell just below market, and if that can get done. Right before the show, I moved him for a 27 first in one spot, and I was extremely happy with that return and wasn't sure if I was going to get it.
And some of the panic too could be not necessarily selling the player, but fixing that position, because I'm concerned about him right now. So you got to do something.
Could be fixing the position. It could be just because of where they're valued. You think there are pivot opportunities. And again, there certainly are in a lot of these cases. RJ Harvey.
I'm going to pause. I think he's still part of the game plan. I think Knicks could play better as the season progresses here. Dobbins, Beatty, we know there could be health at some point, and I think there's going to be growth for this rookie running back. So it's a pause.
Pause.
Travion Henderson.
Similar. I'm going to pause. He's part of the game plan. I think May's going to play better at times, and I think the other backs just can't hold on to the football.
I agree with Dan. Yeah, I think his stock is just rising each week, in my opinion, because the other backs are terrible.
3 fumbles that last game. Wow.
All of the errors there at the goal line too.
Yeah.
It was incredible. On this list again, Ashton Genty.
It's fine.
My answer is pause. I'm panicking because I drafted him like everyone else super high, and the expectations are super high. But he's a ride or die. I think, you ride with him you ride or die this season, and next year they're going to fix the O-line. So it's going to be okay, just maybe not as soon as we want.
Yeah, I'm going to pause. The only problem is we valued him next to Bijan and Gibbs, and they're fantastic each week. And like right now, he just can't be in the same discussion as those two.
That's fair. So just not that preseason level.
Yeah, exactly.
Hype.
Yeah. I mean, RB8, sure. RB3, no chance.
Yep.
I'm yelling at Kirk here in the chat. I said, you're jumping the gun, man. Travis Hunter on the list again.
You're testing me, boys. All right, JB. I'm still going to say pause. He's another ride and die guy for me. I'm betting on talent. I think the Jags, despite 2-1, are like kind of bad. I think there's a T-Law issue, and I think the learning curve is greater for a guy playing offense and defense. So I think this is where I am going to be patient, unlike I was patient with Caleb Johnson. I'm still pausing.
Panic. Dude's getting a 15% target share.
It's a panic for starting. Like I don't want to start him right now, Mitch, but I think at some point that talent's going to come out.
All right. Drake London.
I'm paused. I think, last year production will return. I think they fired everybody this week. The receivers coach, coordinator changes.
It was his fault.
Yeah, I'm just going to pause. The talent's there. Even though there's Penix concerns, it's.
You
What about
never
you,
want to
Mitch?
you never want to hear Pennick's concerns.
No, never, ever. So maybe I should be panicking.
I'll pause on Drake.
A lot of pauses here. A lot of pauses. And
I've
yes,
been panicking a little bit.
Panic's coming.
Next up, Brian Thomas on this list again, but it is a Shane Waldron problem. I thought Jackson Smith and Jigba, write him off. Roma Dunze, write him off. Look at that rookie season yards per route run. And now Shane Waldron is at it again. This dude is like Good Luck Chuck. Do you ever see that movie?
But I thought Liam Cohen was fixing everything. So is it the offensive coordinator? Is it the head coach? Like, we just need to make sure that we're getting this all in line so we know who to blame.
But this story, the narrative, it works here. But again,
Okay.
it's like Good Luck Chuck, that movie where he would date a girl, they'd break up, and then the next person she'd find, they got married. That's what we're seeing with all these wide receivers. So if Shane Waldron goes anywhere next year, I'm out. And then Eskimo says, or is it just Trevor Lawrence? Yeah, he's played like shit. That's right.
John, I have to ask real quick. Are you the guy that has to reference movies from 20 years ago? Is that like where most of your movie stuff comes from? I've noticed there is a certain generation at my work to where these guys will bring up movies and like, did you see this? I'm like, yeah, 30 years ago. And I don't remember any of it.
I get the old jokes.
I mean, it is a dated reference because when's the last time? Was that Dane Cook? When's the last time he was relevant?
No idea.
You know what, Mitch? I don't have a lot of time for new movies. Okay. I don't.
Okay. Right. Super busy.
Hey, we'll keep going though. Brian Thomas is a pause. He's another ride or die guy. We're gonna get to the panic. The reason why we're panicking. It'll be okay for Brian Thomas. He's too talented.
Say pause.
If I could move him at his current price, he gone. Marvin Harrison, give me that button. Panic.
Everybody's, I know the Marvin Harrison story, and I know there's going to be panic, but I am still pausing.
Dan's just pausing across the board.
He needs to step up. I know this. I watched him drop an easy open ball last week that could have changed the landscape of his stat line last week, and he made up for it with the deeper catch later on. But he's going to be better. He told me. Pausing on Marv.
He gone.
Like,
it's fair.
If I could move so many of these guys at their current price, and that's the thing, you can, especially when they're not being productive. But Marvin Harrison, Brian Thomas, Travis Hunter at current value, Ashton Genty, Caleb Johnson, Chase Brown, like, get these guys out of here.
Everybody you said before Chase Brown, if I've got first, they're for sale. I'll take those guys.
I didn't say I'm moving Brian Thomas for a random 26 first.
Hey, you're moving them. You said you're moving them.
Give it 2 more weeks, John. 2 more weeks.
Let's negotiate.
That might be the only time that, or the price.
Wait till you mention the next player. That's the reason why.
Trevor Lawrence. Can we panic on him?
We are panicking. I am so uncomfortable now, man. I cannot keep making excuses for him like I am for Marv. 4 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, and this is after, a large sample size of a quarterback that's played over 60 NFL games. It's time to panic.
I am more than happy, and I'm in a lot of leagues with people, so if anyone hears this, you send me Geno Smith, I give you my Trevor Lawrence. No hesitation.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Trevor Lawrence is awful, dude. Like,
he is. Oh, I know. He's young, though. The age of discrimination makes that hard for me, Mitch.
You still have to be on the field. I don't think he has that much more of a leash, to be honest with you.
They could go in a different direction in the offseason if this continues through the next how many weeks, right?
All right. Hillbully says trade to get Mac Jones back to Jacksonville. An Eskimo saying Tua or Lawrence. I don't want to choose.
Yeah, no.
They're the same bucket.
I would go Trevor Lawrence given the choice.
If I had to, I would between those two.
You see what coaching does, though. That Mac Jones, it's a joke, and we know it's a joke. But boy, look what Kyle Shanahan could do.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I mean, look at Minnesota. Every single week they bring in Carson Wentz. He's serviceable.
Minnesota got a few guys back for that game, but man, that team energy was at another level without the quarterback bringing the play down. Like he just did, he did enough.
He did enough. All right. Cam Ward, or I'm sorry, Michael Penix again.
Panicking here. The Atlanta Falcons are not patient. Never mind us as fantasy owners. They want to win now.
Panic.
I'm loving Mark's comment here. Can we agree? Like, I'm panicking on Lawrence, Penix, Cam Ward. That's next. Or
Let's keep going.
can we panic on Cam Ward?
No, I'm positive on Pan Ward. Patience, young grasshopper. All right. Have you seen his weapons? He has none. All right. This is a bad coached, bad blocking, bad. He is young and learning with not a lot of talent around him. Troy Aikman went 1-16. All right. Patience,
I'm pausing because I don't think you could get anything for him that you'd want to use. Like, what are you going to get?
What were your expectations going in? Like, what could they honestly been?
I'm trying to package these guys up in any which way. Nobody wants them.
No.
Nobody wants them. I've tried cross positionally. If I have them as an excess quarterback, I've tried situations where I'm packaging up. Nobody wants them.
Mm.
So it's a hold by default. Bryce Young, he was on the buy or goodbye segment last week.
I told you last week. I am still selling all Carolina Panthers. I am panicking.
Yeah, panic.
All right, Panic at the Disco once again. And then Colston Loveland. Dan, I know you're pausing.
I am pausing. Here's why. Now, and I'm going to talk about him. I added him to our list for I think our final little segment if we have time. His snap percentage was still high those first 2 weeks. Cole Kmet was getting the main fantasy, targets, and he was getting ignored. We went into this Dallas game. DraftKings, I'm playing Loveland really cheap. He is rocking the first series or two. I mean, they had to design plays for him. They target him, and what does the dude do? He hurts his hip. Now, they say the hip injury isn't serious, but the snap percentage and the way he looked like involved in that game plan versus Dallas, I think he was going to have a big, and we know everyone was going to have a big game versus Dallas, but I think he was also going to in that game if he didn't get hurt. So, like, I would pause. He's just too talented. They've drafted way too much in him for us to panic.
Mitch?
Pause. I mean, it's so hard with these rookies. You know what I mean? Like, how much can you really panic over a rookie? Unless they're the 101, 102, 103. But the problem is this rookie class hasn't really performed up to our expectations yet.
Especially the strong running back class.
Exactly. I mean, it just is what it is right now.
Except for my guy who now is going to be just tremendous, Amari Hampton. I mean, that tide is turning.
Your guy's Amari Hampton.
Hey, I got to say this too real quick about Cam Ward.
Pull the receipts.
He's got him. For a guy who we're talking pause or panic with Cam Ward, for a quarterback who has 60 some less games than Trevor Lawrence and a lot less weapons than him, he's at least a 2-to-1 touchdown or interception ratio. Like, he's not like just tossing the ball all over the field and doing stupid things. The kid needs help.
All right, listen, if the comparison and the bar is Trevor Lawrence, we need to raise that bar a little bit.
Fair, but the bar was high for Trevor Lawrence. I mean, we've been making excuses. The whole fantasy football community, it's like, but we're out of excuses. We're out of head coaches. We're out of not enough talent. We're out of inexperience. We're out.
I mean, if anything, up to this point in the season, Dan, you mentioned it. We talked about it during the offseason, but you mentioned it earlier this show. There's like 22 quarterbacks you wanted. Maybe I don't even know if there's 12 I want now. If I can get up or just get out, that's probably the way to go.
I have 18 I could live with right now. Cam Ward's not one of them, even though I'm defending him. Like, I don't want to build my rosters with him. But again, how many rosters do we have, guys? And a lot of members of our fantasy community, we have a lot. Not every draft and team goes the way you want, so you've got to take some higher risks. I at least would hold some hope for Cam Ward for people who draft him this year.
Is it fair to say, before we sign off here, you would trade Trevor Lawrence, Cam Ward, or Michael Penix for Daniel Jones?
Yes. I bumped Danny up my rankings today.
Same.
It's a great situation. He's giving you production. What else could you want? All right. Well, went a little overtime tonight. Hopefully you all enjoyed this week's episode of Dynasty Theory. Let us know in the comments what you think. Hit that like. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And then if you want to join the 24/7 conversations going on within the DD Fantasy Football Discord community, head over to patreon.com/allgas. Come check it out. You'll stick around. For Mitch Sorensen, Dan Lamagna, I'm John Bauer. We'll catch everybody next week. Peace.